Fearscape Media Network, exploring the unknown, one podcast at a time.
Hi, friends. This is Kelly with Wishful Drinking and Binge Thinking, the podcast where I get just absolutely hammered and I dole out psychological advice. That's right, I am going to be more drunk than that girl you met in the bar bathroom after your karaoke set who said, "You have such good stage presence. Oh my god." That's right, zero preparation, multiple drinks, countless profound gems. Tune in the last Monday of every month on Fearscape Media Network.
Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basements may contain graphic, violent, vulgar, or explicit content not suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to a special bonus episode of the Ghosts in the Attics, Bodies in the Basement podcast. I'm Anna.
And I'm Lindsey, and this is our first book club episode.
Woo woo! And we have a special guest with us. You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Brittany. I'm excited to be here.
All right, guys. And Brittany's the whole reason we have a book club. She suggested it. So yay to Brittany, because I mean, without her, we probably would have just continued reading books and bitching about them without ever having done anything more with
Any
it.
direction or anything like that.
So if you haven't caught on yet, the book that we are going to be talking about today is A Simple Favor. We've mentioned it in several episodes, but let me formally introduce it. It's A Simple Favor by Darcey Bell. Am I saying that? Is that right? Darcey Bell?
Yeah.
Okay. Woo. Brain's not fully awake yet. And we have a lot of opinions.
A lot. But also, if you haven't read the book or watched the movie yet, pause and come back after you have, because there's going to be spoilers galore.
Lots of spoilers. All right. So let's see. Who wants to start first?
I mean, I can start out. First of all, let's just, before we get into individual specifics and stuff like that, overall opinion of the book.
Book was meh. The movie was better.
Yeah, it was very different, but I definitely liked the movie better. The book was crazy. It was a crazy ride.
The book was something.
I feel like the opposite, just because like the movie was good. I watched the movie years ago, even though I didn't really remember anything of it. So I was still kind of somewhat surprised during the book. Like, oh, what's going to happen? Like, I remember vague parts of it. But my biggest issue with the movie in comparison was just like the things that they changed. Like the way, like, I'll get in more when we get to like the movie part of the discussion, but I kind of liked the book better from a plot standpoint. Although I could have done without the incestual steamy bits.
I think we all could. Yeah.
It was all in the ending for me. I just hated the ending of the book. And normally, you know,
That's where they get you.
Yeah, I'll let us get into it chronologically, I assume. But oh my gosh, the ending of the book was terrible.
It was so far-fetched is what my problem was with it.
Like, but I feel like the movie also gets so far-fetched.
Well, okay. I'm going to just jump into this part real quick, because end of the movie versus end of the book. End of the book, she gets away with fucking everything. And that bothered me.
Yeah, I did not like
much
that.
Because she gets away with not like one crime, but like, what was it? 4 or 5 at some point? And then
including murder.
Yeah. But in the movie, they set her up and then she goes down. And I like that, because there has
I do like that aspect
somewhere.
of it.
There has to be justice. That's just how my brain works.
But my big problem with the movie is just that, because in the book, the whole insurance fraud, and like the whole thing with Emily is just she's just awful, right? All the characters are awful, for being honest. But she has like these selfish motives, whereas in the movie, it's more unbelievable. I feel like, oh, me and my twin are on the run for arson where we killed our family, and that's what it all is, instead of it just being like, I'm a horrible person and I want money and to run away from my responsibilities.
I mean, both have their flaws, don't get me wrong, but I like the fact that in the movie, like, they try to tie in how Stephanie and Sean may have a connection. Oh, you wrote a book. I read your book. Oh, it's kind of like a fangirl moment.
Yeah, but I didn't like that they changed him to an author instead of being like a Wall Street guy.
Well, I didn't really care for that change either, but at least it gave them some sort of something to connect on. And
I also didn't like, okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Well, and I was going to say, and I like how he seems to have like no real knowledge of the like money aspect of committing insurance fraud, so getting caught seems a lot more believable.
Yeah. The whole time when we were reading the book, I remember I was texting Anna because she started it before me, and she gave me a warning about some of the stuff in it. She's like, hey, heads up, this is gonna happen.
Had to.
But I completely lost what I was about to say. Oh my god.
I do that all the time. Don't feel bad.
But the whole time I'm sitting here like, okay, what is the timeline of this book? Because it seems like things are happening really fast. Like Emily's missing, and then like days later, oh, I'm falling in love with his name's Sean. I always keep wanting to call him Steven.
Yeah,
his name's Sean.
I don't know why I keep thinking it's Steven, because Steven and Stephanie would be stupid. But anyways, it's so fast. But then in the movie, they literally hook up at her funeral.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hold up.
Well, at least there was a natural buildup as opposed to all the masturbation that they talked about in the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, I'm not a prude, but I would need a little bit of like forewarning before you just throw down big words like hello. Like, damn. Kind of hit me. I'm driving my car. Thankfully, my child was not in the car with me while I'm listening to this audiobook. And she's like, he's down the hall. I wonder if he's thinking of me. Oh, it's so hot.
First of all, Stephanie, no, he's not. He was just going to bed.
Right. It's so gross. And like the other part that got me with the whole masturbation thing was when she pretended to be her dead friend.
Oh, yeah.
That was weird.
Yeah. That one hit me in a spot.
I will say that part was much better in the movie because she's just trying on the clothes. Like,
yeah.
And then the police show up or whatever. And then it's like awkward because she's in this evening gown.
That part was funny in the movie. She's sitting there, she's like,
much better than how it goes in the book.
I like how he's like, you're a little bit dressed up. She's like, oh, I look fine, whatever. Like just blowing it off, like trying to ignore it.
I'm not stuck in this dress.
That part was funny in the movie. I don't know. I mean, overall, there were strong like writing points, but I feel like each character kind of came off one note and just didn't have a lot of depth, except for Emily, who doesn't even show up until what, chapter 22, 23?
Yeah, it's like halfway through. Oh, speaking of Emily and her character development, my huge issue with movie Emily versus book Emily. Book Emily was very confident in herself and very confident, especially with her parenting. But then movie Emily is so self-deprecating the whole time. Like, oh, I get it. I'm such a shitty mom. And it's like, but book Emily knows she's not a bad mom. That was the whole thing, is that she wanted her kid.
Yeah. It was like, I want my child and nothing else matters. Versus in the movie, she's kind of like, meh, kid.
She's like, I want my kid back. But then it's just like, oh, I get it. Like, I'm such a bad mom.
Yeah.
But you're not. Well, in her head, in the book, she's not.
I like in the book how her sister dies versus how in the movie her sister dies. Like where it's just an accident versus straight up murder.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
I feel like book Stephanie is a lot different too, though, because the whole time I was reading, which I watched the movie years and years and years ago, so I didn't remember it hardly at all. But the whole time I'm reading it, like book Stephanie is just I don't know. She feels like even more of a pushover. Like she seems really naive and but at the same time not because she's developing a relationship with Sean and all of this, but she just seemed like such a pushover. And even, the ending of the book where she like essentially frames her for murder, like she just went along with everything. Stephanie was like, "Yeah, sure, you need me to help you dispose of a body. Let's do it."
Let me talk
think
about
she's
that.
very
Sorry.
desperate.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. Go.
That's what absolutely killed me is the part I remember I was driving when I got to the part where they kill the insurance adjuster. Well, Emily kills the insurance adjuster in the book. And then like, oh, I need you. And she's like, well, at this moment, I could like run away. I could call the police, or I could trust that my friend needs me and do whatever she needs. No, I can tell you from personal experience with friendships, when legal shit gets involved, you get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Like personal experience right there without going into details. No. And that wasn't even anything criminal. It's civil. And then, oh, I'll help you push this body over the cliff. And then they hug.
Yeah.
After.
Yeah.
Yep. And not only do they hug, but then everything's just like it never happened. Like nothing bad ever happened. They're just the best of friends.
I did actually have a theory about the hug scene, though.
What, do you think she was going to shove her over the cliff?
Well, no, that would have made sense. But no, I feel, well, except for then Emily wouldn't have an out to then blame
Well,
Stephanie.
no, because she put Sean's hair in the car.
True. But my theory is that like, maybe it wasn't so as it comes across. I think maybe it's Stephanie's perception of what happened.
Right.
Because of the chapters from her point of view, she still sees Emily as her best friend, despite like that's what drove me insane too. Was she figures out that they were using her. She figures it out and is like, oh, I was never their friend. But then still falls for it when Emily comes back around.
Well, I will say I'm glad that in the movie they don't call her a fish every 5 seconds like they do.
That was
in the
really
book.
annoying.
Yeah.
Really annoying.
Like, we got it. You picked it up from poker. You can stop now.
But I feel like Stephanie just comes off more desperate than anything. Like she's conniving and she's smart, but she's just really desperate for some sort of attention. I mean, that's why she slept with her brother, because somebody paid her some attention and then it's the wrong kind of attention, but she went for it. And she kept saying how that they always kept finding each other. No, that's not normal.
Yeah.
At all. And then with the Sean thing in the movie versus in the book he's like, he seems really into her, but then all of a sudden it goes to his narration and he's disgusted by her and she's so this and so that. But in the movie he seems really interested in her and tells her he loves her, moves her in, like there's no hesitation, like he's interested. And then when he meets Emily, he's like, oh no, of course I wasn't interested in your friend, because like his wife's back from the dead. But yeah. I think he was just trying to cover his ass in the movie. Whereas in the book, I feel like he genuinely just couldn't make up his mind.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it had something to do with the fact that, in one versus the other, he was part of the scheme and he knew, even though he thought she was really dead because he found, he got the ring and knew she was dead, in quote marks there, he still was part of the insurance scheme.
Right.
Versus the other one, he had no idea there was an insurance. That was all on her.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many back and forth options between the book and the movie, and they changed it up so much that you can't even really give the fair comparison because they're two separate things entirely.
Oh, for sure.
They just happen to have the same character names and like a loose plot point. But I feel it was a good movie. I feel it was a meh book because there was a lot of things that were not necessary for a lot of reasons. Like you could be talking and it could lead up to a sexy part. Like I have no problem with that. But the parts that I have problems with is like when she's like laying down to go to sleep and just like, oh, hey, let's be naughty for no reason. Like I don't get that.
Well, my problem is the description of like, and then when my brother showed up, like, oh my God, it was just so hot. We looked like my parents' wedding photo.
Yeah.
No one thinks like that.
Yeah, that was weird.
And even if people do think like that, those are called inside thoughts, and you keep them to yourself.
Well, Anna had a really good idea of how it could have gone with the whole brother thing. Did you want to touch on that?
Oh, yeah. So, you know, I'm going to touch on like Grey's Anatomy for like 5 seconds, and like probably 1,000 other TV shows. They meet at a bar or like a grocery store, whatever.
Little Liars.
And
Aria.
they meet somewhere else. They pick up on this vibe, and they get hot and heavy. And then a few days later, weeks later, whatever, he shows up at her mom's house, having no idea that she's his stepsister, or not stepsister, half sister. And oh my God, what have I done? Okay,
Yeah.
that would be so different than what she did, which is made incest an option like it was cute, and it's not.
Yeah.
It's not okay. It's just no.
Yeah, they knew going into it exactly what it was.
Exactly. Like if they would have made it oh my God, what happened? What can we do to change what we've done? That would have been more appealing and more interesting, I feel.
Even if she kept the relationship up for years like she did in the book, it would have been better if it was like, well, we knew it was wrong, but we started before we knew.
Right. Or like, let's say they accidentally hooked up and then she got pregnant, and then what are we going to do about this baby? Oh no, well, I'm going to keep it. Like, that's another thing. In the movie, they quickly jump into the you're a brother fucker thing, which I thought was like so like, I don't know, jarring.
It was cringy. Like it was just ugh, yeah.
And then in the book, she doesn't say that specific phrase. And I was like, well, they amped it up for the movie just a little bit, but
yeah, that was one of the things I wanted to talk about. In general, the movie Emily is much, much meaner to Stephanie. Whereas in the book, she was manipulative, which is who Emily is. And so I like the way the book covered that better. She actually truly made Stephanie believe they were friends. Whereas in the movie, I'm like, how did she not know that she can't stand her? But then with the whole bringing up the incest, Emily is intelligent. She figured it out in the book and then was like, oh, well, duh, we know this. And then after a long time, Stephanie confides in her. And instead in the book, it's like their first time hanging out and she's dropping that bombshell. That's not realistic to me.
But the part where Emily kisses Stephanie in the movie, I felt was completely unnecessary.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just was like, are you just throwing this in there just to get more ratings? Like, I don't know.
Right, like two hot actresses. Hey, let's make them make out.
Because there was never a part in the book where it led up to anything close to that.
Right. Like they talked about Stephanie loving Emily, but it was most definitely, in my opinion, in my interpretation, friendship love.
Or infatuation. Like she was infatuated with being her. She wanted to be her, not necessarily be with her.
Right. Although I think in the movie, or no, sorry, in the book at one point, I think it's after she dresses up as Emily, that whole scene. Am I a lesbian now?
Oh yeah, that was
hell.
That was so weird. It's like maybe you're into necrophilia. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of room for both of these to be better.
I mean,
my opinion means absolutely nothing to the person who has bunches of money for making the book and the movie. And I gave them more money when I bought this on Audible. So, you know, I'm just paying into their pocket. But at some point, like, I want to read another book by Miss Darcey Bell and see if it's any better or if it's about the same.
I don't know if I would trust another book by her, honestly, just because this it kept me engaged the whole time. Other than those scenes, I was like literally my face was just. Of course, I'm frozen now. You can't.
Yeah, we can't see you.
Like that the whole time during those scenes because it's not. I felt they were very unnecessary. But as a whole, it kept me engaged where I wanted to keep listening because I'd listen on Audible.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I'd be like, man, I need more by this author.
Well, I'm curious to see if all of her books are weird and incestuous or if it's just this one. You know, like if that's her like general hook is like, ooh, we're gonna get them with incest, because I'm pretty sure VC Andrews did that really well and a long time ago. Flowers in the Attic and such. So
Yep. Yeah.
but I don't know. I feel like a lot of the characters were one-dimensional and flat. I don't feel like anything was super well-rounded except for maybe the children. The children were very believably children, if that makes sense.
I will say in the movie though, I felt like they were a lot younger than first grade.
Yeah, they did come off pretty small.
She was like my son's first grade class, and then they look like a bunch of 4-year-olds.
Yeah. I did find the fighting scene in the movie just adorable. I know that I shouldn't, but he's like robo fisting this kid. Like, it's so funny.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be funny. I'm a horrible person. It's what
I will say though, thanks, Loki. People are allowed to walk down the street. Anyways, one thing I did like about, we talked about a lot about the characters being like one-dimensional, and I mentioned liking book Emily better, but one thing that I feel the movie got better about it was at the end when Emily tells Stephanie she did actually like her before she started fucking her husband.
I mean, yeah.
That I feel is a little bit more believable than just like, oh, well, I hated you the whole time, I'm just a great liar. It's like there had to have been a little bit of falling for her, but like in a friend way, if that makes sense.
I will say that makes a lot of sense. Like, yeah, I liked you until you took something that was mine. But in the book, can we talk about how she goes from, oh, I want to be like there for Sean and for Nikki and blah, 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 to, oh, I wonder if I get him if they both go to prison. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that
That's
was
why
weird.
I said at the start, all the characters are horrible. Stephanie comes across as the perfect mom, but like, oh my gosh, we all have a past. Like whatever. But at the end of it, she is just awful.
yeah.
Well,
And
and on the flip side of it, like book Emily picked her out from the very beginning for this whole fish thing, this whole fish concept. And like that's why she targeted her as a mom. But in the movie, it doesn't seem like that. Like she just, they just kind of became friends and then went for a drink and then they were actually friends, it seemed, for a little while. But the book is like kind of contradicts that in the very beginning because she like sought her out for this purpose.
Right. Yeah.
I like how when they drink in the book, it's wine. It's very like typical mom shit, but they make it so much more sophisticated in the movie. Like there's martinis, but no, this is a shit martini. Let's get a real martini. And it's like frozen gin in a chilled glass. And it's like, okay. And I like how in the movie she tells her to stop apologizing for everything. I think that's a strong message just for people in general. Stop apologizing for everything. Something we all probably need to work on in general in life. But I thought that was like a good message. Like, who would have thought that would have came out of this movie? But yay, it did.
Yeah.
So on your whole wine note, I kind of felt like movie Emily was more believable as someone who would do this because she had this like really expensive taste in this. And I guess book Emily did too. They still had like a richer lifestyle that they wanted to maintain with Nikki. But in the book, I feel like they focused more on, well, we don't want to work, we want to spend time with him. Whereas in the movie, I kind of saw more of a, well, we have a rich lifestyle, we want to maintain it, so we need the money aspect to it.
Oh yeah, they definitely were two separately driven reasons in the book versus the movie. I like it in the book where she just wants to spend time with her son and she wants to spend time with her husband, but in the movie it's just she wants to she keeps talking about how they're like destitute almost, and their house poor and like all this stuff, and so it just seems like they were trying to keep up their like lifestyle versus having a life.
Yeah.
But overall, I think they were both good in their own right, just could have done without all the sexy bits in the book, mostly because they were inappropriately sexy, like sleeping with her brother and how hot it was, and masturbating to a dead friend. That
Right.
Those are the things that I can't deal with in life.
And for me, it's like I've read a book before where I don't remember what it was. It was like a little cheesy murder mystery type book. And it's all cheesy. And then there's just this one highly detailed sex scene. And I was like, this is the whole reason this woman wrote this book. Is this scene right here. And so it kind of feels like that, where it's just like, it's not relevant to the plot. I mean, it is in the fact that like that's her deep, dark secret or whatever. And it shows kind of like how selfish she is. But at the end of the day, you could cut those scenes and the book would be significantly better.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the aspect in the movie, though, how they were portraying the other parents being a part of it, like the other class parents. And then that guy runs her over in his Prius. Like, that was hilarious. Totally not necessary, but hilarious.
I had completely forgotten that happened since it's been so long since I watched the movie. And like when I finished the book, I was like, okay, this ending is just so unrealistic. Like they hug after they get rid of a dead body. Like, what the fuck? And then that happened in the movie. And I literally wrote, I have in my notes here that I wrote on my phone when I was watching it. It says, oh my God, I forgot the class dad guy hit her with the car. This movie is just as ridiculous.
It is. But I like how she's like crawling down the street trying to get away.
No. Your legs are broken.
It's very unbelievable, but at least in the end, she got caught.
Yes, I do like that sense of justice.
Although wouldn't it be funny if you were on my blog? Bleh. It's like it always has to tie back into that damn blog.
And I didn't like how at the end of the movie, she's like suddenly this, like she still has the mommy vlog, but we fight crime on the side.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
That was just a bit cheesy.
Yeah, no. Just because you helped figure out the scam of your friend doesn't mean you're suddenly this like PI.
Also, and I could be wrong, didn't they change the names of the characters, like the twins in the movie versus the book?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not wrong. Okay.
No.
Because it was Hope, Faith, and Charity in the movie. Yep. But I can't remember what it was for the life of me in the book.
Evelyn.
It's Emily and Evelyn. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I didn't like, speaking of the twin thing, I didn't like how Emily being the dominant twin was like a huge plot thing in the book. She even brought it up with the whole painting, which they didn't put in the movie. They put that weird nude painting in the movie.
Yeah, that was awkward.
But then, so that was like a huge aspect of the plot the entire time in the book. And then in the movie, she's just like submissive to her sister. And it doesn't, I don't know, I didn't like that. It seems more Emily to be the dominant twin.
Yeah. Well, I don't know why they had to add a third person into it, like a third sister. Like that just doesn't make sense. And then the dad's abusive, so let's burn down the house and the dad too. Like,
yeah, that's what I was saying at the start. Like I just, all around the whole twin backstory was less believable in the movie, I feel.
Yeah.
Versus it makes complete sense and is realistic to say, we are twins. We both hung out with the same crowd. One grew out of it and the other went down the road of addiction. That is completely believable. Fell out of touch, but secretly knows about, or secretly keeps in touch with her or whatever, and just doesn't tell anybody about her because it's embarrassing or what have you, versus just, oh, we're on the lam.
Yeah, it was weird. I like that part in the book more than I did in the movie. Although those boots she was wearing in the movie when she's on the dock, those were so nice. And I wish they weren't Louis Vuitton because I could actually buy them.
Well, maybe you need your own insurance scam.
Right?
Listeners, you heard
really
nothing.
Nice boots. Yeah, as soon as I saw the red bottoms, I was like, well, they're out of my price range.
Yeah.
So can we talk for a second about the whole like abuse storyline though? Because in the book, you know, Emily comes to Stephanie and confesses that she's been abused and that's why she's running from Sean, and all of that was like completely made up. But but Stephanie like completely latched onto it right away.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just kind of, I mean, I'm totally like a, you know, believe the victim kind of person, but she's also been living with Sean and she knows
right.
You know, what his personality is. And I was surprised that she was so quick, knowing how manipulative Emily is. She was so quick to latch onto that and be like, oh, nope, now we're no longer talking to Sean. We're going to write him off because he's an abuser, even though there were like no signs of it.
They did the same thing in the movie. Yeah, they did the same thing in the movie where she throws a wrench in the air and it hits her in the face. Yeah. And then
Yeah.
automatically it's like, oh, you can't come in. Your son's here, but you can't come get him.
I
There's
saw
an
you
open
hit her.
investigation. Yeah,
And then she like went and posted it all over the internet.
Yeah, they
It's
didn't
like
do
you
that in the
can't
movie.
do
but
that without charges.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't do that in the movie because it would have been like way too easy to shut down. I mean, in the book, you can shut it down too, but in the movie, they made her blog seem a lot bigger than it actually was in the book.
Yeah.
Like she was like this renowned mommy blogger. It's like, or she just had a blog.
We all watch your blog to make fun of you. Whereas in the book, no one really knew about it other than like, I mean, she had viewers, they would comment and stuff like that, but like around her, or I guess readers in the book, but around her, no one really knew about it.
Yeah.
Even Emily didn't follow it until she was missing and found out that she was just sharing every detail of her life.
Well,
online.
and the fact that like in the book, it went from I want to spend time with my son to, oh, he's sleeping with my friend, so fuck him. And I'm going to make him an abusive piece of shit, but also I'm going to kill the insurance guy. And then when it all comes back to me, it's not me, it's Stephanie's fault. Don't you know they were engaged to be married? And I don't like how in the book Sean just flees the country and gets away with everything too. Like
Yeah.
there's no justice.
He was so quick to go. Like there was no hesitation. He was like, okay, here's an out. I'm gonna go. Like, just leave your son. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed really callous of him to just be like, oh, well, I love my son, but I love me more.
Yeah.
At least that's how it read off to me, was like he was very selfish in that manner. Is like he didn't even care about his wife. And then at the end of the book, whenever everything's like she gets done talking to the police and stuff, or at the very end, she's like, well, maybe we'll go see Sean. Well, maybe you're gonna go see the guy that you left and then in the end left you. Like, what?
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about the fact that they did this thing in the book where they're like somebody's watching her outside the window
yeah.
and then they go nowhere with it? That was such a letdown.
I forgot about that.
I thought that was going to go somewhere, like maybe there'd be like this other person that was going to come get her in the end, but no. It's just like plot hole.
Paranoid. Yeah.
But it was Emily watching her, wasn't it? Because she called.
But
No,
Emily's the one who feels that somebody's watching her
at the
after she's
very,
back.
very
Oh.
end. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Where Emily thinks somebody's watching her. And then
Yeah.
the cop showed up.
Like
I
it
was
could have
like,
been a
ugh.
detective watching her or the SWAT team watching her, something like that.
Wonder if it was just guilt because she had like spied on Stephanie in the same way. Like, you
Oh,
know,
it could have been.
Probably.
I don't know.
That book, Emily had no guilt about it.
Right. Right.
Movie Emily, that would work because she
Yeah.
confesses that she actually cared a little bit about her. But the whole
Also,
time,
I think it's weird in the movie how they had martinis at her grave.
Yes.
yeah,
That was weird.
there was a lot of weird stuff in the book and the movie.
Yeah. It's like,
So I thought Dennis Nylon's character was really interesting too, how different he was, because in the movie, he just kind of was like, whatever, she's Emily, she does her own thing, let her go. But then in the book, he like goes on TV and puts money to her search and everything, I think.
yeah, in the movie
Yeah, because
he was
she was
more
everything for him in the
callous.
book.
Yeah.
He was way more callous in the movie as opposed to the book. He had more of a character to him.
Yeah.
And then I didn't really care for how she just kept talking in the movie to her boss on the phone, like, fuck off, Dennis. I'm going to do what I want, Dennis. Like, that was weird because it's not how you behave in a professional way at all. And then when he meets Stephanie, she's like, remembers that you have to be like firm with him. And so she like cusses at him too. And it's like, these people are just outlandishly crazy. Like, I don't know. It just
But I
seemed kind of
think-
weird.
I think that the talking to him on the phone in that way was covering up for when she was sneaking out and talking to her sister too, right? Because
mean,
wasn't she taking calls from her sister, but saying it was him?
Maybe.
I believe so, at least in the book. I can't remember.
In the book. Yeah, in the book,
Yeah.
not in the movie.
Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that was even maybe her excuse for the night that she called and like the day after when she took off to go see her sister. You know, that call, I feel like she said, oh, it was my boss. You know, he's
Yeah.
hungover or he's drunk again, whatever.
See, at least in the book, they gave him a pass and like
Yeah.
everything. In the movie, he was just some arrogant, famous person.
Yeah. Whereas in the book, they definitely had a more of a relationship. Like even where she comes back and he's like, oh my God, I fucking knew you weren't dead.
And he gave her a job back and a raise on top of it, everything.
Yeah.
All right. So to finish this out, what was your favorite part and what was your least favorite part? We'll start with Brittany.
Oh, goodness.
You can pick a book or movie on this.
You know, in the movie, I think I'm going to have to go with the ending just because after reading the book, I appreciated it much more because I wanted justice for her and I wanted Emily to go down after that. And the book was so much of a letdown in that aspect. And she just
Right.
got away with Nikki. So I think after reading it and then rewatching it, I would have to say that the ending where they frame her, well, she kind of tries to frame Sean and then it backfires and then Emily gets caught and all that. I think that was probably the best part for me.
And what was your least favorite part, book or movie?
Well, we can stay on the same page here and go with the ending. I absolutely hated the whole as quick as she was to jump in and help out with getting rid of the insurance agent's body. And then the ending of the book was horrible. Just the whole, oh, well, Stephanie had the ring and Stephanie, got away with all of this and the cops go get her, like plain as day. That was so frustrating.
Right. I think I'm going to mirror you on my favorite part, book or movie, which would be the movie is how it ends, how there's finally justice. Although the Prius running her over was a lot outlandish and was not necessary. It was deserved. Like, oh, she finally got what was coming to her. Least favorite part in the movie is that his mom goes to jail. That's really sad because that poor little boy is just heartbroken all the way around in book or movie. I mean, the fact that they didn't take into account how this was going to play out for the child broke me a lot as a mother.
Yeah.
But I think my least favorite part, hands down, no matter which way you look at it, book or movie, is the incest stuff. Like, it's not necessary. It's just cringy and gross and I don't like it. Sorry if that's your kink. It's not mine. I'm good. All right, Lindsey, favorite part and least favorite part, book or movie?
I definitely agree with both of you that the ending with her actually being caught, definitely much better. Least favorite, hands down, the incest. It could have been handled in a much better way, like we talked about earlier. Instead, it was just like, oh yeah, it's hot. And everyone who's listening to this or reading this thinks it's hot. Like, no, that's not true. Yeah. Favorite? I'm not sure. I don't really know how to pick just one favorite part because like wasn't my favorite story, I guess.
Right.
But I guess I'll just go with I liked the plot of with the twin thing in the book first, especially in comparison to the movie. Like I don't know. I guess I like that. Another least favorite part that's not the obvious incest thing was how quick Stephanie was to jump in to help with the body stuff. Just because, like I said earlier, I just keep repeating myself. She figured out that they didn't care about her. She figured it out and still went back.
It goes back to that desperation that she's so desperate. She seeks validation so much that she'll do anything. And it's so pathetic.
Yeah.
Like, I've never read a book where I felt like somebody was pathetic before, but I can say after reading this one, I felt somebody was pathetic. And
but also
that's hard to portray.
We were like trying to wrap up, but I didn't mention this earlier. You're talking about being pathetic and whatnot. Sean, when Emily comes back, especially in the book. I know that we kind of touched on it earlier with his whole like, oh no, like I didn't care about her, like whatever. But, like, I don't understand why everybody's default in this is just bow down to Emily. We love Emily. There's nothing else in life but Emily.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't you know she's everything? She is Emily. It's just how they act. They act like she's some sort of god.
Yeah, and it adds to the one-dimensional aspect of it because it is completely plausible that Sean fell for Stephanie at least a little bit, because even if it was just seeking comfort in his grief, there was some sort of connection there. That's why she moved in. But then it's, oh, nope, that was all fake. I just wanted to fuck her.
Yeah.
I love you. I've always loved you. I'll only ever love you. It's like, no, No, I don't know. So I have a lot of thoughts on the book, but I can't seem to put them into words.
All right. And for the final question, what do you feel was better, the book or movie, Brittany?
The movie, just because I love Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, but Anna Kendrick is like my number one actress. I love her, so I
You
gotta
did a
go
good
movie.
Stephanie.
She
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, love
I
her.
will have to say movie. There was less incest and more storyline, and I felt like the relationship between Stephanie and her was portrayed better. Like you could see the buildup to their friendship versus
Yeah.
just automatically we're friends. Where in the book it just kind of like she tells you that they were friends. I don't know. And the lead up to her and Sean made more sense in the movie versus in the book. So I like that. Lindsey, what do you think? Book or movie?
I think I'm the oddball out here. I liked the movie and I love Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively. And I felt like the casting was on point, especially at least specifically for those characters. Casting was on point. But I think I just liked the book a little bit more just because I felt the whole plot with the twins thing and the blackmailing Stephanie and all that seemed a little bit more realistic and less like, oh, you're a brother fucker.
Yeah, that part
Like,
was so cringy.
I didn't like
was
that.
so weird.
And the fact that they talked about it like their first time hanging out.
Yeah,
At least it's implied it's their first time hanging out.
yeah, that part made no sense.
And it's like, whereas in the book, there was a build up to her eventually confessing, I've never told anybody this before. And then she used it against her versus, I don't know. So I think that in a lot of ways, I like the book better. Just
I will
plot
say in the
aspects.
movie, when he hands her that envelope in the car and she spins out and they almost die and the little kid cusses her out, that part was hilarious. But whenever she finally takes the envelope she got from Nikki and it has a picture of all of them, like that's way more clever to me than the hold up 3 fingers or whatever in the book. Like it was more of a mind fuck, and I like that. Like she really seemed to mess with her. It just, I don't know, it worked better in my opinion. But all right, well, thank you, Brittany, for coming on and being our first guest for our book club. We really appreciate you suggesting it to us, and not the book, but the club itself. The book is my fault. I made that mistake.
I'm not taking the blame for that one. That's all you.
No, that's all me.
I'm really glad to be here. This was exciting. Thank you all.
Well, we're glad that you wanted to be a part of this Zoom call with us today and recording our first episode for our book club. Guess this will be a bonus episode coming out hopefully every month. It depends on the book, and Christmas is going to suck, so we're really going to try to make it every month, but keep us on our toes about that, so we keep coming out with awesome content for you, or hopefully awesome content for you,
content that we feel is awesome.
Right. Maybe we're desperate like Stephanie, who knows.
Oh no, I don't think anybody could be.
Right. All right, well, thanks for joining us, you guys, and come back next time. Bye.
Bye.
Hello.
Hey, Anna. Is that a new outfit? You look super cute.
It is. I just went to this really cute store in town called Mainstream Boutique.
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's a really awesome store. It's like my little hidden secret. It's locally owned by a really wonderful woman named Kim. She's the kindest, most genuine person I've ever met. It's a women's retail boutique that offers a unique selection of clothes and apparel and accessories for all generations. So teenagers to 20 and up. It's magic. I mean, we've talked for years about what do we wear? I don't know what to wear at this age. I don't want to look like a teenager. This store is the store that has changed my outlook on how I appear as an adult.
Oh, that's so cool.
You
said it's a local store?
Yeah, it's local to Shawnee, Oklahoma, but they do ship.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to get on that website. What's their website?
Their website is mainstreamboutique.com. They also have a Facebook page, which is Mainstream Boutique of Shawnee. They're a apparel and accessories for multi-generations. Their mission, which I really stand behind, is to empower, strengthen, and celebrate women in the world throughout fashion. And I think that's so
I love that.
And
I'm going right now to check that out, especially if they ship. That's awesome.
It's mainstreamboutique.com or Mainstream Boutique of Shawnee. We'll put all the links in our bio, but I have an exclusive for you guys. Are you ready?
What?
I talked to the owner today. For our listeners only, you get 10% off your full ticket items.
Oh my God.
All full priced items when you ring up, 10% off, whether it's online or in person. And if you go in person, tell them we said, hey, they said to use the code GABB for a discount code. And if you use our discount code, you get 10% off all full price items of your entire ticket. How cool is that?
That is amazing. I can't wait to go check it out.
Well, the next time you come visit me, we'll have to have a shopping spree.
I'm in.
GABB is your promo code.
Thank you for listening to Ghosts in the Attic, Bodies in the Basement, a Fearscape Media podcast. Music by Stephen Timperley. Artwork by Laura Ramsey. Find us online at fearscapemedia.com/GABB podcast, or on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GABB podcast, or email us gabbpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you.